Good evening, friends. Here we come to the third episode of this webinar on understanding the Olqs. Before I move on, I would like to thank all my viewers for sending me so many messages and appreciating the videos that the webinar that I had done so far. And that really motivates me to give me my 100% you and be committed to the needs of the defense aspirants in every way possible. Today we are going to discuss the factor 3, which is about social effectiveness. Social effectiveness, or how effective is a candidate in a social group. And this particular factor covers 5 officer-like qualities. In the first one we saw 4, in the second factor we saw 3, and the third factor there are 5 Olqs. Right? The first Olq is initiative. Thereafter we have self-confidence, and then we have the ability to influence the group. The fourth one is speed of decision, and the fifth one is liveliness. And we will delve on each of these Olqs one by one, and let me explain what these Olqs are, how they get assessed in the 3 techniques, and how you should inculcate this on a daily basis in your day-to-day life, and which will lead to automatically you being able to project yourself well. Right? Now, let us go to the first Olq of this factor, which is initiative. Now, what is initiative? Initiative is the ability of a person to take the first step in the right direction. Right? Taking the first step in the right direction. It means what? If you are in a social group, there is a task ahead of you, or there is a situation in front of you. Are you the one who initiate action? Are you the one who take first step in the right direction? Is this clear? Now, what I firmly believe that all these qualities in the third Olq, the third factor, are an outcome of the interaction of the first 2 factors. Let me explain this to you. Now, if a candidate is knowledgeable, he is well read, he's got good communication skills, he's got good reasoning ability, right? Now, whatever I spoke just now pertains to factor 1, planning and organizing. And he is good at heart. What does that mean? He is very adaptable, he is very friendly, he cooperates with the group, and he knows what is right, how to behave in a group. Responsibility, sense of responsibility, right? If a guy is like this, naturally he is not going to have any self-doubt, neither is he going to have any inhibition. Normally, I am saying there could be exceptions, but by far, a guy who is confident is the one who is well read, sound RA, reasoning ability, good power of expression, good at heart, doesn't have self-doubt, because he's good at heart, he believes in everyone, he mixes with everyone, everybody is his friend, he's cooperative, and he understands the responsibility of his conduct in a social group. Right? So now, how does this translate into assessment? Initiative. There are 3 techniques, mind you, and each of these techniques assesses this particular quality from a different tool. Now let us take the example of the interviewing technique. Right? You are a defense aspirant, okay, and you know that defense is all about physical fitness. If you get cleared in the SSB, if you go and join the academy, you have to rough it out. You have to be physically strong, physically tough, mentally tough, right? And knowing this, if you are the guy who is sitting in front of the interviewing officer with 100 kgs, very obese, what initiative have you taken? Don't you think he's going to find out or he's going to ask you as to what have you done to bring your weight under control when you know that if you are a defense aspirant, you need to be in a particular weight category as per your height and age, isn't it? And if you have not done that, it very well means you have not taken any initiative, right? There are a lot of candidates. Suppose a candidate is aspiring to join the army. He is sitting in front of the interviewing officer and he doesn't know examples of a service arm and a fighting arm, right? He doesn't know how many commands are there in the army. What does that show? That he has not taken any initiative to prepare to find out before the interview. He just comes just like that, right? Do you think it's a good thing to do? Obviously no. I'm sure many of you who are graduates, when you are graduating from the college, you sit for the placement and your TPO says, here is the company which is coming for recruitment. Please go through the website of the company and do a research on the company. Why does he say that? He basically is telling you, take the initiative to find out what the company is all about, what its culture is about, what its product is about, how is the company doing. And when the person from the company comes and asks you questions about the company and you say, I don't know anything about the company, what image is he going to carry about you, right? So if you are serious about anything, right? If you are serious about joining the defense services, if you are serious to join the army or the navy or the defense, don't you think you will have that inquisitiveness naturally to find out these? So it goes back to the inquisitiveness. Inquisitiveness missing, leading to initiative which is missing. You have not done anything. You just come there, simply sit and you say, sir, I am sorry, I don't know, I am sorry, I don't know, I am sorry, I don't know, right? You don't know anything. Not accept, right? Now, there are times during the conference when the interviewing officer will suddenly ask you, okay, tell me which are the questions you could not answer during the interview. Can you answer them now? And you cut a sorry figure and say, no sir, I don't know, I could not find. Or I did not find. What does that mean? It means there is absolutely no urge in you. You have not even taken the initiative of finding out the answers that you could not give during the interview. And let me tell you, any common person who is aspiring to join, if he could not answer that particular question, he'll definitely find out. He'll go to the internet and find out. The fact that you've not done that confirms lack of initiative. Right? I think I've given enough examples as far as the interview technique is concerned. Now take the example of the site technique. Right? There are so many situations. There are 60 situations, SRT, situation reaction test. Right? And you are supposed to write your complete action that you would take in that particular situation. What action you take, whether you initiate action or not, is very, very easily deducible. It can be found out very easily. Right? Similarly, in your TAT, your initiative. Now, in the first webinar, I spoke about a story written by a candidate who was a student of AFPA. And if you recollect, I talked about a very difficult image, almost black. What you could see is reflection of water. So there is a presumption that there is a river, because there is also a very vaguely looking boat. So in that situation, the main character, and what was the problem there? The problem was that there were There is a fisherman's community, they go out in the night to fish, and there are snake bites and scorpion bites because it's completely dark. And the main character of the story, he got the people around, pooled in money, and he set up solar lamps so that this kind of thing does not happen in the future. What does that show? That shows initiative, right? In the same way, somebody would have said, there's a boat and 4 friends, they decided to go and enjoy. They went for a boat ride and came back. Fine. It's okay, right? So you see the contrast these two stories, and I'm sure you will understand what I'm talking about, right? So initiate action, wherever you are, right? So this guy, in the school or the college, we say this guy has a lot of initiative, right? There are candidates, I'm sure you must have come across such candidates in your life, in the school or in the college. College fest, this guy is forward, he's there, right? He's taking initiative, doing this, doing that, collaborating with friends, organizing an event. If you are the leader, you need to initiate, alright? So, if you don't initiate, then you can't be a leader. Leader is the one who initiates action and the followers follow him. Now, what I said just now, translate that into the GTO technique and you see what happens, right? Group discussion, you are sitting in the GD, topic announced, right? And if you are the last to speak, or you are one of the late ones to speak, what does that show? Obviously, it shows that you are not the kind who will initiate the action. You are not the kind who will take the first step in the right direction. On the other hand, there is a guy who just pounces in, he gets into the discussion. That he need not be the first one to speak, doesn't matter. First one, second one, third one. So, if he is an early speaker, he is naturally a guy who initiates action. If you are a late speaker and you are a guy who doesn't speak at all, obviously you are not you won't take initiative. Right? That's the conclusion. That's how we look at it. Next is GP. The first 4 steps of GP has got nothing to do with this. We don't see all this. However, your solution will show us what initiative you are taking. But when you sit in the discussion of the GP, again, same principle as that of the group discussion. That will get reflected here. So, 2 group activities of the abstract type. The candidate initiates action, initiates the discussion, coordinates with the group. Very good. He is the leader. Please understand, what are we looking at? We are looking at a potential candidate who can be trained to become a leader, who can lead a group of people, right? And if you can't initiate, obviously you can't be a leader at all, right? Now, we discussed about JD and GP. What is the next activity in the basic series is progressive group task. The GTO has explained the task to you, okay, and he starts the task. And there is a candidate who takes the lead, okay. He manages to, there will be, please understand, in the basic series, the first 4 tasks of the GTO, there will be power struggle between some of them. Because candidates have naturally come there to get qualified. So, in a group of say 10, there will be 3-4 of them who are competitive, who are equally good. They are trying to initiate somebody else's poking his nose. Because he is also wanting to initiate. That power struggle will happen for some time. Slowly you will find as you move forward, the power struggle settles, right? But are you the one who is quiet? Are you the one who is just following? Are you the one who is at the behind or who is behind in the group, who is just following the group? Obviously, you're not the kind of leader we are looking for. You are not a leader. You don't have the potential to lead because you just not doing anything. Are you the one who is standing at the start line and looking at people working or wondering what the hell is happening? Are you the one who is a little shy, have some idea, discussing with your neighbor standing next to you? Can it be done like this? Can it be done like this? You're talking, but you are not coming forward. Right? You're not taking the right step in or the first step in the right direction. And the same thing goes on in GOR. Group obstacle is. And all these 4 tasks are, in mind you, leaderless tasks. Nobody is nominated as a leader in this. Right? So, in a leaderless task, somebody able to lead, that's the candidate I am looking for. And that's the candidate the GTOs are looking for. Right? How you lead, how you coordinate with others, whether you are able to successfully lead will depend on the first 2 factors, your intellect, your RA, your ability to communicate, your adaptability. And when you read the definition of the OLQ named social adaptability, there are 2 very important words mentioned there. Go back to my book, open that chapter on OLQs and read the definition. There are 2 words, diplomacy and tact. How diplomatically and tactfully you deal with others and get them together to achieve the team objective, the group objective. Fantastic. Anybody who's got this skill, obviously is very adaptable. He will not hurt people. He will not shout at them. He will not bully them. He will tactfully handle them. He will diplomatically handle them and get them around to follow the group norms and achieve the group objectives. Right? Now, the same thing like in GOR I said, it's a groupless task, it's a leaderless task. It's a group task, leaderless. It means nobody is nominated as a leader. But you'll always find in the group 2-3 of them very active, trying to coordinate with everybody. They are in the forefront. They will help everybody. They will push the team and they will show that urge, energy and the will to win. That's the kind of candidate we are looking for. Right? So initiative is necessarily a trait, a quality that we will get to see mostly in the group tasks of the GT. Right? So what should you do in your day-to-day life? I always say in my academy when I interact with students, right? डरो मत, डर के आगे जीत है. Wherever you are, अरे just open out यार, चिंता मत, कर्म किए जाओ फल की इच्छा मत. Right? Don't worry. Most often, let me tell you, people don't come forward with this inhibition. कि यार कहीं ऐसा तो ना हो कि मेरे को आइडिया ना आए. Particularly in PhD, particularly in the group task. Okay, the practical group task. The biggest question is, what if I come forward and if I don't get the idea? Let me tell you, that will be your first failure. Because you are doubting yourself. And because you are doubting yourself, you are not willing to take the initiative. And please understand, anybody with self-doubt, which inhibits him from taking initiative, that's going to affect on his initiative, right? He is a problem case, or he is not a fit case for us. Now we will from here go to the next OLQ in factor 3, which is self-confidence. Now, if you see self-confidence and initiative, these two are very closely related, right? Let us first understand, how does one become confident, right? How does one become confident? He becomes confident based on his knowledge. He becomes confident based on his reasoning ability. He becomes confident because he knows that he can communicate well, right? He becomes confident because he is generally accepted in a group. He is a very friendly, cooperative person. The group accepts him very easily. And these are all proven to him from his past experience. Right? If he has been very active in sports, extracurricular activities, and he has seen himself over and over again that he is a guy who gets accepted by the group. The group believes that he is a good guy. The group believes that he is a knowledgeable guy. And when he sees acceptance, he develops confidence. Right? And now coming to factor 3, who will take initiative? Somebody who has the confidence. Right? Obviously, if he is filled with self-doubt, somebody who is not sure about himself, somebody who is not sure of his own knowledge, somebody who is not sure whether he will get accepted, his views will get accepted in the group, are the ones who lack confidence. And those are the guys who will generally not take initiative, because that inhibition, that self-doubt will drag them behind. Right? So it is very, very easily deducible in all the 3 techniques. Right? The very fact, the way you go and sit in front of the interviewing officer, your confidence can be seen. The way you knock the door, the way you enter, the way you sit, the way you look at him, and the way you answer those questions, that shows your confidence very easily. This gets seen in the screening. Candidate, the moment he starts narrating, we can see his confidence level. Right? So this is something which is very closely related to the first 2 factors, and this gets translated into action here in the 3rd factor, which is social effectiveness. So for you to become, what should you do? Right? So we talked about the interviewing technique, where the moment you enter the room, the way you converse, the way you dress, the way you sit, the way you look into the eyes of the interviewing officer and respond to the question shows your confidence. Similarly, the kind of actions you write, the kind of stories you write, the way you approach a problem and solve it, that shows your confidence in the psychological test and in the GTO test. If you are a guy who is not speaking in the GD, who is shy, timid, not coming forward and putting across his views freely, which means he lacks confidence. I don't have to check, or GTO doesn't have to check confidence differently. The fact that you are not participating in group activities, the fact that you are listening to others, and even given a chance to you, sometimes there are candidates who will not speak. That shows there's a different levels of confidence, right? So that is very easy to see. Similarly, PGT, not taking initiative, not coming forward, not doing anything, just looking at others perform, or talking to your neighbors and trying to talk to him and give some ideas that you may be getting in your head, but not openly telling the group members who are ahead. All that shows your confidence, right? How do you become confident? Right? There are no, unfortunately, this webinar is not going to give you short tricks. It's not possible, right? It is not. There are no chewing gums. I keep telling my students in the AFPA and everywhere else that there are no chewing gums and there are no churans. That you eat this and you become confident. Confidence comes from your participation in various activities, be it physical activities, sports activities, co-curricular activities in schools and colleges. That is how you develop confidence, right? If you're not participated, you're not sure about yourself. If you have participated, you may have failed once, twice, you learned, came back, bounced back, did well. That gives you confidence, and you feel that yes, this is the way to perform, this is the way to get accepted, this is the way to lead a team. Participation in the sports participation in various activities, it boosts your confidence naturally. If you are well read, if you read, if you watch TV, if you can communicate well, if you can, all these exposures lead to better RA, right? All the exposure lead to better RA, and obviously that boosts your confidence. Then you are not worried. When you are sitting in a group, you just open out, put your points politely, nicely, try and convince the group, bring new arguments, bring new facts in the GD, and in the PGT, apply yourself. If you are strong in your mental faculty, which is factor 1, you will get the solution. It's not rocket science. It's all based on one technique, one concept of cantilever. You will get the answers, you will get the solutions. But you should have the confidence to come forward. If you don't come forward, if you don't take the initiative, obviously you are left behind. The structures are there. You cannot see the structures closely. You cannot appreciate the distance. You cannot rationalize what resources you have, which is a better resource to use. So, you have to become confident. So my advice to you would be in the forefront in whatever you do. Be in your office, be in your school, be in your college, be in the forefront. Participate. Slowly you will find that you are gaining in confidence. More the exposure, more the confidence. More the knowledge, more the confidence. Better the communication skills, better the confidence. And confidence leads to initiative. It's a driving force. Confidence is the prime mover which moves you forward. And once you go forward, if you have a rational brain, if you are well read, if you understand what resources you have, what structures and what is the objective, how to reach, if you have a rational brain, you will be able to easily find solutions to the problem. Is this clear? So this is as far as the self-confidence is concerned. From here, let us move on to the third OIQ of factor 3, social effectiveness, which is your ability to influence the group. Now, it's basically about convincing. How do you convince? See, ultimately, what are we looking at? We are looking at a leader who can lead a group of people. People will not follow you just by authority. Everybody has his own brain. Everybody has his analytical skills. So he's going to question, or at least this question will crop up in his mind if you're giving a wrong directive or a wrong decision or a wrong order, right? How do you convince them? How do you influence people to follow you or to follow your orders, right? There are two broad ways of doing it. One, influencing people by coercion or use of power. You do this, you bloody well do this, otherwise they'll sack you. I'll do this, I'll spoil your AFPA, I'll do that, by instilling fear in the minds. For God's sake, this kind of leadership is not good. Please do not follow this. You should be able to inspire people. And inspiring people comes from a sound mind, right? A sound logical mind. If people understand what you're saying, and if they feel that what you're saying is very logical, you will find people blindly following you. They will follow you. Of course, you should be a good-hearted person, right? If you're a good-hearted person and you're able to make an effort to convince them by logic, by facts, by figures, people will follow you. And you don't need any authority. Absolutely no authority required. And that's why most of our tasks, or the basic series which are group tasks, all of them are leaderless tasks. There are no leaders. Nobody is designated as leader. Same is the case in screening test, right? When you sit there for narration and discussion, there is nobody who is a leader, but the leader emerges from within the group, right? How does he convince the other? So when there is a dispute about talking about the screening, when there is a dispute about coming to a common story, everybody has his own rationale. If you convince the other person by bringing out, by highlighting what you saw in the image. There was a guy who was having this, there was this person who was having this, or if you see the background, it was like this. People will start relating to it. Okay. So what is important is your observation, your knowledge, your fact, your figures, and the way you put across your views to the others. If you are very brash, if you are shouting at the top of your voice, if you are being very forceful, people will not like you. People will not accept you in the group, right? That's where the definition of social adaptability, the two magical words, that is tact and diplomacy. So tactfully handle people. Give them the relevant facts and argue logically. Most often than not, what happens in this group discussion? There are guys who try to dominate others by their voice, by their body language. Unacceptable. That's not the kind of leadership we are looking for. On the other hand, there will be a very simple guy, very unassuming candidate, what we call. He's very simple, unassuming, docile. When he speaks, he doesn't shout, but he speaks facts. In GD, the moment you bring in facts, figures, statistics, you refer to a particular report, some, articles that you read in the newspaper, magazine, people will listen to you. They will be bound to listen to you because we are talking sense, we are talking numbers, we are talking facts, we are talking statistics. Nobody can question that. But more often than not in GD, it becomes a fish market. It is because everybody is voicing their opinion. I feel this is more important because I feel so. And then how do you feel so and how do you enforce it on the group? By shouting. That does not help. You may think you have done very great and by giving a shut up call to others, but the GTO or the assessor sitting in front of you is not going to like it. Really. Similarly, the other two technique, how you go about influencing people, right? Now, go back to the same story that we discussed about the fisherman community. See, he has influenced the community, explained to them the need to have lights, collected resources from them, and put up solar lights. Obviously, this was not possible unless he believes that he can influence people. It's not possible unless he believes that he can convince people, right? It means he has the ability to convince. Because he believes he can convince, he'll be able to convince. And he'll achieve the objective, though in abstract sense in the psychological test. Similarly, when you put the interviewing technique, he'll ask you, he may give you a situation. And, it could be a situation as simple as this, that you have been nominated as the captain of the team and suddenly you find that there are 4 or 5 players who do not like this choice and they go to the coach and say, "We don't want him as captain." What do you do? The situation. So how do you influence them? How do you convince them? Right? It matters. There are real life situations where you had a dispute with your best of friends. How did you go about resolving this? Right? I'm sure many of you must have come across this SRT where you are in love with a particular girl, but your father wants you to get married to somebody just because she's from a wealthy family. And this girl that you love is very poor, or from a poor family. What is he checking? Do you have the confidence? Are you able to go and convince your parents that wealth is not everything? This is only one example I took. So what you write in such situations comes out of you naturally. If you believe that you can convince, if you believe that you can talk it out, if you believe that you can handle such situations which are very tricky, well, you have the potential. It means you can do it, and that's why you are saying so. But you can't just bluff it out in SRT, because somewhere you write you do this, because you must have read the solution somewhere, and somewhere else where there is a real situation, and there could be another situation where you may write something else, right? So your true self will not, there will be inconsistency in your responses, your true self will not get revealed, And that's why we keep talking about this in AFPA. That do not memorize any answers to any SRT. For God's sake, when I interact with students, I'm told that in some places they are given 300 words with, sentences written, and they are told to cram up this. There are 300 situations with solutions. Friends, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. You need to believe that you can convince, and that belief will come only if you have handled such situations in the past. And again, I'm telling you, there is not going to be any shortcuts. If you have not done it in the past, it's going to reflect somewhere in some technique that you have not done this. You don't have that ability to influence this. Right? Now, please understand, this is one, and all qualities are not same. When we assess a candidate, all qualities are not the same. Okay? If I see that this guy has good factor 1, good factor 2, if I put him through various such experiences in the academy, depending on how much is his training period, that I need to guess, I need to judge as an assessor. Will this guy be able to develop this? And let me tell you, ability to influence the group is one of the qualities that can be highly trained. Highly trained. It depends on the kind of exposure you have got. And it is unfortunate that most of you, when you are in school and college, you did not participate in many of these activities because you are busy studying and securing good marks. That's okay. But as long as you have factor 1, a sound factor 1 and a sound factor 2, and if you have, say, 4 years of training, if you are an NDA-TS guy, I know for sure the kind of exposure that this candidate is going to get in the academy, you will definitely develop this quality. If it is a short course, 1 year training period, we will make a judgment. How is he now? Within 1 year, what can be done? If yes, we feel, yes, I think he should be able to develop this. And, even after commissioning, the first few years, you are still learning. You are in that learning mode. So we make a final assessment of that, and then we say, yes, is acceptable, not acceptable. That kind of decision, right? So ability to influence the group can be seen in all the 3 techniques very beautifully. Now coming to the GTO technique, obviously this is one technique where we are seeing you live performing in a group. Okay, in interview and psychological test, it's abstract. But here you are sitting in the GD. Now I'll be able to see whether you are able to convince the others in the base using your knowledge, using your rational thinking or your reasoning ability, and being tactful in your dealings with others, being diplomatic in your dealings with others. I'll be able to see that very easily, right? And accordingly, we make a judgment on this part, right? From here, let's move on to the next OLQ, which is your speed of decision. Okay. Now, when you're talking of decision, there are 2 things. Okay. One, the speed. The second aspect is the correctness of the decision. So, how quickly does a candidate take decision and how correct are his decisions, right? Let me tell you, again this quality is highly trainable quality. More exposure you get, more you participate in various situations, you learn from experience and you go back to your previous experience and take a decision in the next time, right? So this is a very highly trainable quality, and therefore this is more to do with the judgment based on the number of years of training that you have ahead. What kind of exposure are you going to get in the academy? Is it for a longer duration? Whether you'll be able to come up with that situation or not. This is more to do with that. Because we know for sure most of you have not participated, have not come across many difficult situations where you had to take a decision. However, having said that, even in your day-to-day life, we take a lot of decisions, right? Now, you take the example of psychological test and you see the SRT, right, where you have to go for the interview, SSB interview, and you are left with 2 days that suddenly your train gets cancelled or your flight gets cancelled. Now, what is this situation? It is a situation where you need to take a decision. What decision can you take? What is the alternative that you come out with? Right? All these questions, your ability to take a rational decision quickly. Because SRT, you have to do it in a few seconds. So how your brain handles that, how quickly you are able to come to a rational decision is what it assists. Likewise, in the interviewing technique, the interviewing officer will ask you questions based on decision making. Right? What decisions you have made in the past. He'll give you some situation which is very day-to-day basic situation, and then you will find out what decision did you take, how did you go about handling that particular situation. So all that reflects your decision making. Similarly, in the practical, in the group testing tests, your ability to take decision will come out very clearly. Whether it is in the PGT, whether it is in the group obstacle race, or in the group planning exercise, or in the GD for that matter, right? Your ability to take decision quickly and correct and arriving at a correct decision is what is seen. Now take the example of command task, classic case, right? You are the commander, it's an individual task, you have to subordinate, all decisions are yours. You have to take the decision. So how quickly you arrive at decisions, and this is where you will find the GTO putting pressure on you, right? So we come to know very clearly, are you able to take correct decisions quickly, right? So there are multiple tests, there are multiple ways of assessing it. And how do you inculcate this in your daily life? Well, like I said, all these OIQs, the first 4 OIQs of this particular factor that we have talked about, your initiative, your self-confidence, your ability to influence the group, your speed of decision, all comes from how much participation you had in co-curricular, extracurricular, group activities in the past. So if you are that bookworm kind of stuff, or computer games, PUBG, breed, sorry, you would have not got the right exposure, and you are likely to falter. But like I said, in the case of ability to influence the group, similarly in speed of decision, these 2 qualities are highly trainable qualities. Therefore, we try to extrapolate from your behavior, from your performance, whether you given the right exposure, made to participate in various activities. Will you be able to reach up to the desired level or not? And based on that, we take a judgment. We make our assessment, right? Now, coming to the last OIQ of this particular factor, liveliness. Liveliness is nothing but your ability to remain buoyant even when faced with difficult situation, right? What does this basically mean? Please understand, in the armed forces, you will be facing challenging situations every time, every moment, every day. Do you give up, or do you come under stress and strain by the very sight of difficulties? Or you accept the challenge and find solutions and handle it? Okay, it's got something to do with your ability to cope up with stress. Yeah. So, there are candidates. Now, this particular quality, liveliness, let me tell you, is again a least trainable quality. We also call it the core quality. This is a quality that you have already inherited through your nature and nurture. In this particular case, it is more to do with your nature, I would say. It is your genetics. It is your hereditary. You will normally find a person who comes under stress. He has a background. He has a family trend. Okay, loner. He is very stressful. He gets nervous. He doesn't open up because he is very anxious. Okay, the anxiousness, stress, nervousness to the extreme is suicidal tendencies. It's all reflecting towards liveliness. There is no space for such candidates in the armed forces, unfortunately. And it's not unfortunate, it's very well reasoned. Because in the armed forces, you have to be facing stressful situations every moment. Be you on board a ship, be you on the LAC, LOC, or be you in the flying aircraft. They are not easy tasks, right? They are all very, very stressful tasks. And if you are the kind who come under stress very quickly, you are the kind who remain anxious, who gets nervous, who cannot think, you cannot think clearly when there is a stressful situation. You will not be able to handle the situation in front of you. And because of your inability to handle that situation, you will put your men under risk. So obviously, you look forward to a candidate who is quite lively. He can remain buoyant. He can keep his buoyancy even when he is facing a stressful situation. Right? Now, how does this get translated into assessment? Very, very simple. As far as the interviewing technique is concerned, very simple. You come and sit in front of the interviewing officer and you go blank out. You start profusely sweating. Your fingers are trembling, right? And there are so many such manifestations, and you're just not able to respond to him. You drop you keep drinking water continuously, or at very short intervals in the glass of water that is kept next to you. All that is showing your nervousness, your signs of stressful behavior, right? And when it comes to psychological test, there are many candidates who will ignore a stressful image, right? And there are many candidates who will avoid perceiving a stressful image, or they will perceive it to be a painting or a drama going on, but they will not perceive it the way it is. Okay, there is one very common image that is floating around on the internet, and a lot of candidates keep sending me stories based on that, and many of them, that image is about a dead body. And let me tell you, many of them, they do not want to perceive that image having a dead body as having a dead body. Okay, they will make all kind of stories, not accepting that this is a dead body. And I don't know how, either naturally like that, or they have learned the wrong way or the wrong thing. Please understand, do not run away from stress. You will find stressful images, a few of them in the tag. So what? Handle it. So what? That's a dead body. There will be. That's part of our life. We must have seen dead bodies in the past. So face it, and you see how you can learn a lesson out of that or do something constructive out of that. What must have led? What is happening now, and what is the outcome of this? It can be very, very easily assessed. And let me tell you, each technique has its own strengths, right? When you're talking about the extreme of liveliness or bad liveliness, say suicidal tendencies, right? That's the extreme. This normally, the interviewing technique or G2 technique may not be able to perceive this from the candidate's behavior, whether he has this kind of tendencies in him. But it will very easily come out in your psychological testing. The psychological testing brings out your subconscious behavior, right? So it gets revealed very, very, very easily there. Fine. That's why we have 3 techniques. That's why you are looked at from 3 different perspectives. It's a 3D assessment. So, I told you the interviewing technique, I told you about the psychological testing. Now I'll come to the GTO, your liveliness. Well, your liveliness can be seen right from the word go. Right? If you're sitting in the GD, if you get nervous, you will not speak. Right? You spoke something and somebody countered you, you will not speak after that. And your body language will show me that you are getting nervous. Right? Similarly, in the practical tasks, your liveliness, any little rejection from the group, you will sulk and you will not bounce back. Any failure, you will not bounce back. You will go down. Okay? So, your performance, the way you perform from task to task, now we will assess you and we will see if you're not done well in one or task and then you give up suddenly and you start believing that you have messed it up, you screwed it up, you can't make it now. All that, you put your head down, we can see very, very clearly. Right? Command task. Right? When you are the commander and the GTO is putting pressure on you, it's basically testing your ability to remain buoyant under stressful condition. He's putting stress on you and he's seeing whether you're able to continue to think logically and come out with a solution. He's putting the pressure on you. There are candidates who get blanked out. Under pressure, they cannot perform. And in the training environment, when they are in front of me in AFPA, and they come and tell me later when I debrief or when we have a one-to-one counseling, they say, "Sir, suddenly, when you put pressure on me, I get blank. I just not think about it." That is a sign of poor liveliness. And like I said, least trainable quality, inherited from your past, from your genetics and from your early childhood upbringing. Right? So, can you do something about it? Yes. I did not say it is not trainable. What did I say? I said it is least trainable. If you are conscious of this fact that you are the one who gets nervous, take the example of Olqs rate. There are candidates who come stand in front of the group and go blank. "Sorry, sir," and they will come and say, right? It happens with many of us. What is that? Basically, liveliness. Right? You're not able to withhold, you're not able to hold your nerves, and you're not able to perform under pressure, under stress. Right? So when you know that you are this kind, you got to auto-suggest to yourself. You got to tell yourself, you got to talk to yourself, "So now I'm not going to get nervous this time, I'm not going to do this." And you need to participate that much more. You need to practice that much more. And be conscious of this fact, nothing doing. Let whatever happen. Let me fail. But this time I am going to perform. Doesn't matter. Kya farak padta? You have to keep on talking to your subconscious. You have to talk to yourself. Spend more time with you. And keep pumping up yourself. Over a period, this may make some change in you. Right? Whatever situations where you come under stress, you question, you find out, and face those situations again and again in life. Right? You go and be part of those kind of situations on a daily basis. Slowly you will come out of this. Right? It is possible. It is least trainable, but it is not that it cannot be trained. Okay? And again, it depends. If you are a short course, SSC Tech, or if you are a graduate entry, your training period is just about 1 year. Well, you may not be able to make a change in you so much as far as this particular part is concerned. But if you have 4 years and you are already aware of it, auto-suggest to yourself, work on yourself, keep talking to your subconscious, and boost your subconscious to be bold. And nothing to worry, nothing happens. Doesn't matter. So what? What is the worst that can happen? I'll fail. Doesn't matter. I'll come back again. That's the kind of buoyancy that you should develop in yourself. Well, guys, with this I have said what I have to say, and these, like I said, are qualities in action. These are qualities in action. Okay. Good factor 1, good factor 2, normally, mostly, there could be exceptions, but mostly will be found to be good in factor 3. Right? And this is very important. This is your leadership ability in display. Right? So I've given you a lot of stuff. Introspect on this and put your own assessment of yourself and start working on these qualities. And I'm sure nothing is impossible in life. It's possible. You need to have that fire in your belly. You need to be prepared to put in that hard work. You need to have a good insight about yourself. Now, there's something called SD in the psychological test, right? Self-description. That's the last part of the test. So the psychologist has seen your TAT, VAT, SRT, he has understood you as a personality, and then he reads your self-description and he finds that your self-description is completely different than what you are actually. It means what? It means you do not have a very good insight about yourself. And let me tell you, any development can only happen when you understand your own strengths and weaknesses perfectly. Anybody who has very good insight about himself and he wants to change, he can change. So, introspect about yourself. Identify your strengths. Identify your weak areas. Have a sound insight. Please, for God's sake, do not write your SD based on somebody who has given you a script on writing your SD. You have to know yourself and write your SD self-description based on your own awareness of yourself. Then it will correlate well with what the psychologist has found out based on the first 3 tests. And if he believes that yes, you have the insight and you know that this is where you are weak, and with the amount of exposure that you are likely to get during your training period, you will be able to come up to the desired level. You will not hesitate to clear the candidate. Right? So please do not write, a very flowery SD, because you may not be that. Because the other 3 tests would have revealed a lot to the psychologist about you. Is this clear? Guys, I hope this webinar will give you some insight into what these OLQs are, how they get assessed, what you should do to inculcate these. And in the next webinar, which is on the next Sunday, I will be talking about the 4th factor, which is your dynamic factor. And there are 3 qualities in that: determination, courage, and stamina. And we'll talk more about this in the next webinar. See you till then. God bless you. Do well. May success be yours. Thank you. Jai Hind.